Yes.
Will you state your name, please?
Jerry Holeman, Holeman.
How are you employed?
With the Indiana State Police.
And what is your rank with the Indiana State Police?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant Holeman, you were in the courtroom yesterday during the testimony of Melissa Oberg. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
And were you able to hear her testimony and see the evidence presented to her?
Yes, I did.
I wanted to start off with a point of clarification. There was some information brought up about the results of her findings concerning matching a bullet to a gun, comparing that to a paternity test. Do you remember that line of questioning?
Yes, I do.
And is that something that you believed?
Yes.
And is that something that you put out to other people?
Yes.
And after her explanation yesterday, you have a better understanding that that may not be the case.
I do.
She talked about an error rate.
Yes.
You recall that?
Yes, she did.
And what do you recall the error rate being?
I recall her talking about error rates with different tests, and I remember her saying the error rate in the paternity test was low, so I compared that to what?
Do you understand after her testimony yesterday, that's not what she was saying?
Yes. I misinterpreted what she was saying.
Was that belief held by others in unified command?
Yes.
And so there was a lot of people that believed that it was comparable to a paternity test.
Yes, we did.
There was also statements brought up about Melissa Oberg stating that, after she examined the bullet, that it could be matched to a Smith & Wesson or a Sig Sauer. You recall the testimony?
Yes, I do.
And is that something you believed, that after she examined the bullet, that the bullet was gonna be matched to either a Smith & Wesson or a Sig Sauer?
That's what we believed.
Did you hear her testimony yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. And so is that something you're conceding you misrepresented or misunderstood from her as well?
Yes.
However, you did examine Sig Sauer's and Smith & Wesson, is that?
Yes, we did.
And the gun you found in Rich Allen's house is what brand?
Sig.
Okay. I want to start off with we went over some of your training and experience the last time you testified. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
I want to talk about some of your specific training on interviewing a suspect. Can you tell the jury some of the specific training that you have in doing interviews of people?
Sure. Basic training, obviously, in the police academy, just basic interviewing techniques, how to document. And then I've been to read interrogation school and advanced read, and that basically talks about how to interview suspects, witnesses, build rapport, what you can and what you can't do. I've been through that training. It's been a while since I've been to that training. I think it was 2006, maybe 7. And then, I've also been to Finding Words, that's how to interview sexually abused children, a different type of interviewing technique. And I've also been to CIT, which is I forget the abbreviation, but, basically, it is how to detect someone with a mental illness and how to talk to them and interview them.
And those techniques that you learned through those different training seminars and classes, have you used those while you're interviewing people?
Yes, I have.
And this is an unfair question, but how many people have you interviewed through your career?
Hundreds. My best guess.
And you talked a little bit about some of the you touched base on them a little bit, but what are some of the techniques that you've learned through that training and experience? What are some of the techniques that you've learned that you use during the interview of someone?
First, you want to try to build a little bit of rapport with them. If you can, talk to them. Other thing is you want to present evidence that you might have, show them pictures or something to that effect. You can even lie to them about the amount of evidence that you have or over-exaggerate the evidence. Those are some of the techniques that you can use. And then, reading their body language is something that I've been trained in a little bit.
And have you used those different techniques in interviews of people you suspect of crimes?
Yes, I have.
And have you used those techniques often when interviewing people suspected of crimes?
Yes.
I want to take you back to October 26th of 2022. Do you recall that day?
I do.
And is that the day that you interviewed Richard Allen?
Yes, it was.
And that interview, in part, was recorded. Is that correct?
Yes.
And from that recording, there was a transcript created of that interview. Is that right?
Yes.
And would you agree with me? Sorry, let me back up. Have you had an opportunity to review that transcript?
I have.
And you may not know the length, but if I told you the transcript was 80 pages long, do you have any reason to disagree with that?
No, I don't.
Have you memorized every word within that transcript?
No.
And so when I ask you questions about the interview, are you gonna be able to recite back to me the specific question you asked?
No.
Are you gonna be able to recite back to me the specific answer that Richard Allen gave?
No.
But you have reviewed that transcript?
I have.
And you're familiar with the interview?
Yes, I am.
So I want to talk about that interview. Again, October 26th of 2022. Is that the day you recall?
It is.
And tell me where that interview took place.
The interview took place at the Indiana State Police Post in Lafayette, Indiana, in one of our interview rooms.
And at the time of the interview, did you have the information about Melissa Oberg's findings?
I did.
And so the information, as you understood it prior to calling Richard Allen in, the information pertaining to the gun found at Richard Allen's house, and the bullet at the crime scene, what information did you have?
I had the initial report that she made, the certificate of analysis, and it told us that the round found at the scene matched Richard Allen's gun that we found at his house.
Now, you're not using the same language as Ms. Oberg used.
No.
You understand that?
Yes, I am not.
But you had that information, or you knew that information before you called Richard Allen?
Yes.
And so the interview took place at the Indiana State Police Post. How did you get Mr. Allen to the post?
I believe Steve Mullen communicated with him and arranged him to show up, I believe a couple days before that, and then they had to reschedule, and then he and his wife came there. I don't know how they got there or who drove, but they drove there.
What was the reasoning for them coming to the post?
We wanted to talk about the giving back some items and also find out an explanation of why that round was at the scene of two murdered girls.
At that point, we had also confiscated his car as part of the search warrant of the house. Is that right?
Yes, and we planned on giving that car back.
And in fact, you told him that. Come to the post. We're prepared to release the vehicle to you.
Yes.
When he got to the post, what happened?
I escorted him back to the interview room and I started the interview.
At that point, when he went back to the interview room, was he under arrest?
No.
At that point, was your plan to arrest him?
No, it was not.
Did you read his Miranda rights?
No, I did not.
Did you remind him of his Miranda rights?
I did remind him of them.
Tell me about that.
I knew that he'd been interviewed a few days before that by Steve Mullen and Tony Liggett. I asked him if he remembered being interviewed and read his rights, and he said he did.
When he got to the post, where did you take him?
I took him to the interview room.
And was the door locked?
No.
Was he free to leave?
Yes.
How many people were in the room when you did the interview?
Most of the time, just one. There was one point where Detective Vito came in there for a short time.
And did you then begin the interview with Richard Allen?
I did.
Tell me how you began the interview.
I believe I just talked to him about if something was damaged, like I did the other day when he was there, if he had anything damaged. I think I gave him a copy of a tort claim. That's the process if you have property damaged, you can fill that out. We talked about some of the articles. The lab wanted me to find out if anybody had ever borrowed any of that for a long period of time, so we talked about that initially.
Did you also talk about firearms?
We did.
Did you talk about your time in the Marines?
I did.
And why would you do that?
Just building rapport. I knew he was in the Army, we were both in the military. We talked about types of guns that we had in the military, type of guns he had, type of guns I had.
Did you talk about firing those guns?
Yes.
Did you talk about frequency of firing those guns?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I think I made a comment about if I could build an indoor range, I would shoot my SIG every day, if I could afford the ammo. And I asked him if he shot his every day or how often, and he said he hadn't shot it very often, he didn't have that much experience, and it's been a while.
You then continued with the interview. Is that correct?
Yes.
What did you do next?
At some point, I don't know the exact order, but at some point I showed him the results and confronted him about why his round was at the murder scene.
Before that, did you have any discussion with him about loaning out items that he owned?
Yes.
Will you tell me about that, please?
Yes. I asked if anybody ever borrowed his car for a long period of time. I gave him an example of a friend of mine had a fuel pump go out. I let him use my truck. He said it'd be a week or two. It ended up being 4 or 5 months. And he said no, nobody's ever borrowed his car. I asked him about clothing articles. I gave him an example that I wear my son's coat sometimes. I may keep it for a year and give it back. And he said no one's ever borrowed any of his clothes that he knew of. And I asked him if he'd ever lend his gun out. The example I gave him is my son-in-law collects guns. Sometimes, he gets low on finances, so he'll give me one of his guns and I'll give him $500 and then, when?
Why did you put those personal examples in there when you're asking him those questions?
Just to make sure he understands exactly what I was asking.
Is it also part of the rapport building?
It is.
You asked him about the firearm, if he'd ever loaned it out, correct?
Correct.
And what was his response? Do you recall?
No.
Did you talk to him about his statement about where he was on February 13th of 2017?
Briefly.
Did you ask him, did you talk to him about his firearm that he had, and whether or not he had it on that date?
I did.
Tell me about that, please.
I asked him if he normally carried his firearm and he said no, he only carried it when he was fishing or mushroom hunting. I asked him if he had it that day and he said no.
So he told you no, he did not have his firearm that day?
Correct.
What did you do next? After you talked about those issues or those topics, what did you move on to next?
I think that's when I confronted him about the round being there.
Tell me about that.
I told him that we had a report from the lab, saying that the gun that we recovered from the search warrant matched a round that was found. I think I may have said 6 inches from one of the girl's foot and in between the other girl.
When you told him that, what was his response?
He denied it. He didn't know how, he couldn't explain how that round would have got there.
Let's talk about his demeanor at the beginning of the interview. What was his demeanor at the beginning of the interview?
Calm, I'd say normal.
Did his demeanor change when you confronted him with that information?
Yes. I confronted him multiple times about it and, each time, he became more agitated.
When you initially confronted him with it, he denied it, correct?
Yes.
And you carried on with the interview, is that right?
I did.
At this point, when you confronted him with that information, was he under arrest?
No.
At that point in your mind did you say, "I'm going to arrest him"?
No.
You continued to talk about the findings. Is that correct?
I did.
And at one point, you asked him about a comment that he made to you during the search of his home. Do you recall that?
I do.
Tell me again the comment he made during the search of his home.
I believe it was, "It doesn't matter. It's over."
And you confronted him about that comment during this October 26, 2022 interview. Is that correct?
I did. I told him I was concerned about that comment and asked him what he meant by it.
And what was his response?
He said the damage was done, I believe. He said that we'd interviewed his neighbors, his coworkers, and everybody believed that he did it, and that we've already basically, in my words, ruined his life.
At that point, had we announced to the public or anybody that an arrest had been made?
Not to my knowledge, no.
After you confront him with the information from Melissa Obug, what do you do next?
At some point, I don't know exactly the order. At some point, I think I gave him a water early and I asked him if he wanted to take a smoke break. I knew he smoked, and asked him if he needed to use the restroom, so I gave him a break.
Did you continue to confront him with evidence?
Yes.
And at some point, did you talk to him about the video from Libby's phone?
I did.
Did you talk to him about the voice on the video?
Yes.
And what did you tell him?
I told him that we had witnesses that saw him out there. I also told him we had experts that said that's him on the video and that's his voice.
At that point, did you have experts telling you that?
No, we did not.
And so you lied to him?
I did.
Had you done that in other interviews with suspects that are suspects in crimes?
Yes, I have.
Is that a technique that you've learned from your training and experience?
Yes. It's an approved technique that we use to elicit responses from the person that we're talking to.
You continue to discuss the findings. Is that correct?
Yes.
And throughout this investigation or throughout this interview or interrogation even, did Mr. Allen give you any explanation of how his bullet got to the crime scene?
No.
What did he tell you?
He just kept telling me there's no way that's his bullet, no way that bullet came from his gun. He just continued to deny.
Did you ask him whether or not he committed these offenses?
I did.
And what was his response?
No.
And he continued that response throughout the interrogation. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to review the transcript?
I did.
How many times did he deny participating in the murder of Abby and Libby?
I would say between 25. That's a guess, I didn't count.
He also denied having his gun that day on the trail. Is that correct?
Yes.
Each time you confronted him with the information from the lab about his bullet being at the scene, did he have any explanation?
Never, no.
Did you ask him if he'd ever been to that area where the bodies were?
I did.
Did you ask him if he'd ever been mushroom hunting or hunting out there?
Yes.
And what was his response?
He said no.
At some point then during the interview, did he inform you that in his past he had had some mental health struggles?
He did.
What did he say?
I believe he said that he had been suffering from depression and maybe anxiety.
After he informed you of those things, did he continue to deny any involvement in this?
He did.
Did he continue to deny the findings from the lab that his bullet was found at the crime scene?
Yes.
You have training to pick up. You talked about some training that you have. I think the CIT training that deals with people you're interviewing that may be suffering from mental health effects. Is that correct?
Yes.
From that training and experience, when Richard Allen informed you that he had depression, anxiety, and those kind of things, did you pick upon any of those things you'd learned from that training and experience?
No. I just remembered its critical incident training, and no, I did not observe any obvious signs of mental health issues.
As the interview continued, did his demeanor change?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
After I asked him 25 times about the crime, he started becoming agitated with me.
Did you ask him if he ever had fired his .40 caliber weapon on the property around the bridge?
I did.
Tell me about that.
Just asked him if he ever had the gun out there, ever target shot the weapon out there in that area, and he said no.
After he told you about his mental health issues that he had, you continued on with the interview. Is that correct?
I did.
At some point, let me back up. Let me rephrase the question. At some point, did he make a statement about him not confessing to something?
Objection, leading.
I'll restate the question.
Sustained.
He continued to deny that he was involved in that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what else did he say about denying being involved in the crime?
He said multiple times, "I'm not going to tell you something I didn't do." And he made the comment one time that, "I don't care what you do to me, I'm never going to tell you that I did something that I didn't do."
You continued to talk to him after that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did he deny that he'd ever contacted Abby and Libby?
He did.
Did he deny knowing the two girls?
Yes.
As the interview goes on, did his demeanor continue to change?
Yes. Like I said, he just became more agitated with me.
And at some point, did the conversation between the two of you get heated?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I think he indicated that he was pissed off and said he didn't fucking do it, and then I believe I raised my voice and cursed back at him several times.
Why did you raise your voice and cuss back at him?
Usually, I match their demeanor and try to speak their language, so the whole beginning of the interview, neither one of us were cursing at each other, but once he started cursing, I thought that's a way that you speak their language, you talk to them in their language to try to get them to understand that you're being serious, as well.
Did you then go back to talk with him about if his gun had ever been loaned out to anyone?
I did. I think I revisited that a couple of times.
And did he give you a different answer when you asked those questions?
No, he did not.
Did he ever give you a different answer or a different explanation of how his bullet got to the crime scene?
Can you rephrase that? I'm sorry.
Did he ever give you any explanation during the interview of how a bullet that was cycled through his gun got to the crime scene?
No.
Objection to the bullet cycling through his gun and move to strike on that. That's an opinion for the jury.
That was the opinion of the expert, Judge, that we heard yesterday. Those were the words that she used.
Overruled.
How she was able sorry.
Overruled.
Judge, may I approach?
Sure.
Judge, may I get my water?
Yes.
Sidebar conference conducted.
So basically, what you've just done is said to the jury, in my opinion, respectfully, that round cycled through Rick's gun, that bullet cycled through Rick's gun. That's just what happened. I'm just being straight with you, Judge.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
It's an opinion to say.
That was his question. You objected.
Yeah. And then you said, and then his response was, that's what the expert said. And then you said, overruled.
Overruled.
Which now tells the jury, and it's telling the jury that that bullet was cycled through the gun, as the judge has accepted that.
No. I overruled his object. I overruled your objection, and that is what the expert said. That's for the jury to determine.
Well, he didn't couch in terms of the expert, he couched it in terms of that bullet was cycled through the gun.
That is correct. And then, when you objected, I asked for his explanation, and his explanation was recounting the witness's testimony. And it's up to the jurors as to the weight that they give that.
Well, that's what I said, and then you overruled it, making it sound like what I said was not, that he was correct and I was not correct. I mean, I think it's solved by saying to the jury, you are the trier of fact if you believe the expert or not. I'm sorry, I don't know that I'm explaining it very well, but I think it just came off as, when I objected to that, he should have rephrased and said that's, yes, and I'm saying it as the expert said.
Then, perhaps you should rephrase that question.
That's fine, Judge. I can do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Lieutenant Holeman, I'm gonna rephrase the question. Again, you were here yesterday during the testimony of Melissa Oberg.
Yes.
And you heard her testimony that her belief was the round found at the scene was cycled through the firearm found at Richard Allen's house.
Yes.
And that's what you believed during the interview of Richard Allen. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And you confronted him with that information that was transmitted to you from the expert. Is that correct?
Yes. I had the certificate of analysis with me.
And so during the interview of Richard Allen, were you of the same belief as the expert?
Yes.
That your belief was that the bullet found at the crime scene had cycled through Richard Allen's gun?
Without a doubt, that's what I believe.
That was your belief.
That was my belief.
You used that belief to confront Richard Allen with those findings during his interview. Is that correct?
I did.
And so as you're interviewing Richard Allen, you're telling him your belief, correct?
Yes. Yes.
That the cartridge was cycled through his firearm?
Yes.
And you confronted him with that several times throughout the interview?
I did.
And did he ever give you an explanation for that?
No.
Well, he did give you an answer for it though, right? What was his answer?
I don't remember exact words, but something to the effect, there's no way that round cycled through my gun or was in my gun, and I don't know how that round got there, something like that.
You followed that up with a question though. Is that correct?
I don't remember, but I'd have to.
Did you ask him how his firearm or how his bullet got to the crime scene?
Yes.
And what was his explanation?
He didn't have one. He didn't know.
Did you ask him if he was on the trail on February 13th of 2017?
I did.
And what was his response?
He was. He said he already told me or told us that he was out there.
Did you ask him if he was on the Monon High Bridge on February 13th of 2017?
I believe I did.
And what was his response?
I think it was similar to the same one. I already told you I was out there.
What about what he was wearing on February 13th, 2017?
Same response, he said. I've already told you what I was wearing out when I was out there.
At some point in the interview, you said you allowed him to take a break. Is that correct?
I did.
And after the break, did you continue the interview?
Yes.
And was there anything else during the part of the interview when he came back from the break that stuck out to you?
A few things.
Tell me about those.
At one point, he told Kathy that, all you have to do is ask for a lawyer and they have to let you go. Don't worry about me.
Well, let's back up a little bit. At some point in the interview, let me ask you this. Who's Kathy?
Kathy is Mrs. Allen, Richard's wife.
And you said in the beginning that in the interview is just you and Richard Allen.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me how Kathy comes into play.
I can't remember exactly when, but we allowed her to come in and talk to Richard.
And were you in the room during the two of them talking?
No. I was observing.
And did Richard Allen have a conversation with Kathy?
Yes. I should rephrase that. I was observing most of it. I came back in at some point and we were all three in there.
And during the time that all three of you were in there, did you observe the conversation between Kathy and Richard Allen?
I did.
When you were out of the room, did you observe the conversation between Kathy and Richard Allen?
Yes.
And you stated that one thing that he said was interesting. You were starting down that road, and what was the comment?
I can't remember exactly how he made it, but he told Kathy that, ask for a lawyer, we'd have to let her go, don't worry about me, or something to that effect.
Did you then continue to question Richard Allen?
I did.
Did you continue to talk to him about his firearm?
I did.
Did you ever ask him questions concerning how he carries his firearm?
Yes. I asked him if he carried it, how he would carry it, and he said he had a side holster that went on his belt.
What about ammunition when he carried his firearm? Did he talk about that at all?
Yes. I asked if, when he carried it, did he carry one in the chamber or just the magazine in there, and he told me that he thought he normally would carry the gun with one in the chamber.
At this point in the interview, was Richard Allen under arrest?
No.
At this point in the interview, had you decided that you were going to arrest him?
No.
At any point during the interview, did he give you any indication that he knew Abby and Libby?
No.
Did he give you any indication that he had murdered the two of them?
No, he did not.
Did he give you any indication that he carried his firearm when he was on the trail on February 13th of 2022?
No.
Did he give you any indication of how his round or a round was found between the bodies of the two girls?
No.
During the conversation you had with him, you testified you were able to observe his demeanor.
I did.
And through your training and experience, are you able to identify when a suspect is being deceptive with you?
Sometimes.
What kind of things do you look for?
There's many, and I'm no expert at it, but touching their face.
I'll object to the rest of his answer.
I can build a foundation, Judge.
Sustained.
You have training and experience with interviewing people who have been suspected of crimes. Is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And then, in some of those instances, those suspects have lied to you. Is that correct?
Yes, they have.
Now, you testified to your training. Which part of this training has taught you to pick upon cues from a suspect to show when they're showing deceit?
I believe it was the read and read interrogation, but I'm not 100% sure.
And how do you use the techniques in the read training that have helped you, or do you use techniques from that training that help you pick upon cues of when someone is being untruthful?
Yes, I have.
And have you done that in the past?
Yes, I have.
And did you do that in this interview?
I did.
Did you pick upon any cues that Richard Allen was being untruthful?
Preliminary question.
Yes.
Please tell us these pieces of information you learned at your read technique seminars or training that allow you to testify as you're about to testify.
I'm not sure if it was the read, but at some point I've had training in watching body language, touching of the face, looking away, looking down, things like that. I don't know all of them, but those are some cues.
Okay. So the touching of the face, who has it that?
I don't recall who told me, but I just know that if somebody continues to rub their face or make any hand movements, that's a sign of deception.
So this is a sign of deception is what you've been trained. Demonstrates.
It could be.
Okay. What was one of the other ones?
Looking away, not making eye contact.
No eye contact. And who was the instructor that talked about and what were their credentials to come up with that?
I don't recall, sir.
What was another one?
Looking down. I guess that would be.
Looking down. Who was the instructor on that and what was their credentials to know that?
I don't know.
I'll object to this question, line of questioning.
Judge, I think he's laid a foundation from his training and experience. He can at least testify to his observations during the interview that he's made. I think it goes more to weight. Defense can argue that it shouldn't be given any weight HT, but I think he can at least testify to his observations during the interview.
Overruled.
Lieutenant Holeman, were there signs that you saw during the interview of deception by Richard Allen?
A few. Nothing obvious, no.
What were those?
Just very minor, being very denial and touching his face, looking down, not making eye contact at some times.
Now.
Very subtle.
Very subtle. Now, you're not suggesting on the stand today that everybody that denies is being deceptive, are you?
No.
You're not suggesting that everybody that touches their face is being deceptive, are you?
No.
But these things stuck out to you during this interview specifically with Richard Allen?
Those and some of the comments he made.
Okay. Do you remember any of his comments specifically?
I remember one comment where I told him that I didn't think that his wife and I thought he was a bad person, and he looked at me and said, "What kind of good person would kill two girls?"
And so that comment gave you some concern?
A little bit.
At some point during the interview, do you escort his wife, Kathy Allen, back out of the interview?
I do.
Do you go back in and talk to Richard Allen some more?
Briefly.
At that point, was Mr. Allen under arrest?
No.
At that point, was he still free to leave?
Yes.
Throughout this entire interview up until now, is he free to leave?
Yes, he is.
Did he ever leave?
Only when we went out to a smoke break and he came back.
Did he ever end the interview?
He never ended the interview. He did say, "I'm done," a couple times, but continued to talk.
And you advised him of his, or you asked him if he knew his Miranda rights?
I did.
And what was his response?
He said he understood.
So we come to the end of the interview, where it's him and you in the room, correct? And what happens next?
Well, I believe that's where it got a little more heated and I told him that I thought he did it and, at some point, he said, "Take all your Evide NCE and just arrest me."
And at that point, did you leave the room?
I did.
And did you meet with other investigators?
Yes.
And what was the decision made at that point?
Our decision was to detain him for the murder of Abby and Libby.
And why did you do that? Why, let me back up ya. Why did you do that?
We felt that we had enough evidence to establish probable cause to make an arrest.
I don't have any other questions, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you. I saw you looking down quite a bit during your testimony, looking down like that. Demonstrates, is that one of those signs of deception you were talking about earlier?
That could be a sign of deception, yes.
The nice, calm guy on the stand right here is not the same guy Richard Allen experienced, is it?
Yes.
Now, you testified that you reminded Richard of his Miranda rights.
I did.
And that you also told him he was free to leave.
I did.
And that's important, because if you didn't do those things, somebody might scrutinize the constitutionality of that interrogation. Would you agree?
I would agree with that.
But surprisingly, you telling Richard Allen that he was free to leave and you reminding him of his Miranda rights is missing on the video, isn't it?
At the beginning, we had technical difficulty with the audio-video recording equipment.
And so what happened was, this is what you say, there was technical difficulty, that's what you claim.
That's what happened.
And then, when you learned that, then you came outside, this is what you say, you went outside. Dave Vito came in and said, hey, it's not working, or something, correct?
Right.
And then you went outside, correct?
Yes.
And then you got it working.
Somebody got it working.
And then you when you were outside, it started working and it was recording, correct?
It appeared to be, but I'm not sure if it was yet or not.
Well, that's not what you told me.
To me, it looked like it was, yes.
Well, you said to me in a deposition that that you saw with.
Judge, may we approach, please?
Yeah.
Sidebar conference conducted.
I don't, inaudible, but we all see what he did last time. He wants to read the transcript into the record. That's not how you impeach a witness with a transcript. That violates the rules of procedure. Ask him a question. If he doesn't remember, you can show him his transcript to refresh his recollection.
That's fair.
Okay.
Apologize. I'll do that.
Okay.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Do you remember taking a deposition back in May of this year with me?
I think I did 3 altogether, I can't remember.
I think you did too, but one was August 10th of 2023, right?
Yes.
And the other was May the 3rd of 2024.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. And would it help refresh your memory as to whether or not you knew that was recording when you walked back into the interrogation?
No. I told you, I thought it was recording, yes.
Yeah. You saw it recording with your own eyes, you saw the 3 dots.
Yes.
And the problem with your story, and so, therefore, we should see you walking into the interview, because it's already recording, and sitting down with Richard Allen, correct?
There's a delay in the recording.
Oh, there's a delay in the recording?
Yes.
So we don't get to see you walking in. Even though it is recording, we don't get to see you walking in and sitting down, do we?
It starts after, the delay makes it start after I get in there.
So it's recording, but then there's a delay somehow as you walk in, as you see it recording, then there's a delay, that's your explanation.
That's what I believe, yes.
Okay. So we don't see you, strike that. The recording does not show, therefore, you telling him about his Miranda rights, reminding him of those, correct?
That is correct.
And that he was free to leave?
That is correct.
This is one of many missing videos in this case, would you agree?
I don't know.
You don't know about?
There's some missing videos, yes.
And some missing videos from February of 2017.
We had a lot of technical difficulty with audio and video.
From March or April the 28th to June the 2nd, a bunch of videos gone.
Judge, I'm gonna object. This is outside the scope of direct.
Sustained.
So we just have to take your word for it then that you read him, that you told him about his Miranda rights and told him he was free to leave?
My word and the witnesses that were observing that day.
And you were here, I think it was 2 days ago when Steve Mullen testified, were you not?
I was.
And he talked about the first interview of October the 13th.
He did.
And then your interview was October the 26th, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard him also say that there was a similar demeanor change in Richard Allen in his, at the end of his interrogation?
Yes. I observed that interrogation as well, but I don't recall it.
Judge, at this time, I would move to admit both the October 13th and the October 26th interrogations and ask them to be played for the jury. The state has put into play Mr. Allen's demeanor, and I think that can only be seen and understood and interpreted by the viewer of the video.
Perhaps you should mark those, then.
Judge, do you want to have a sidebar before he?
Sure.
There may be some issues we need to speak about, Judge.
Oh.
Sidebar conference conducted.
Do you want to put those in?
Yeah. Well,
Do you want to put the whole interviews in?
Yeah, outside of there was just one thing on the second one about the polygraph that I don't think.
No, there's several spots.
Okay. Well, play the first one and then we will edit out.
Scrub that as well?
That'd be a while.
Scrubbed it for mention of polygraphs, I mean. I don't care if you want to put them in there. We do not, inaudible, but I think it's bad for your client.
He was offered a polygraph.
Well, yeah, when we talked about this, and I emailed you about this the other day, I was like, I don't think that they should hear that.
Well, I wasn't gonna put them in for that reason.
Well, it can be redacted.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to do when.
Okay. Well, I think.
You can't do it on the fly.
Judge, I think we should also review it for a reference to a third party, inaudible.
That's true. There may be other
And we've been successful in keeping that out.
issues in there.
And there might be a reference to that.
No, there is a Keegan.
Yeah, there's a Keegan-Klein reference.
Okay.
So there's other references in there. So I don't know that I don't necessarily have an objection, but I'm not comfortable putting it in unedited.
Okay.
Well, we've got time on our case in chief, too.
Okay.
I think this is more of a legal argument right now.
Right.
And I understand he asked to admit it.
Yeah.
But, I think it's more of a legal argument that would be on the table that we can clean up.
Why don't I edit them
Okay.
and give them to you guys?
All right.
And we'll play them next week?
All right. And I think, to be fair to you, I don't want the jury to have the impression that you are objecting right now. I don't think that would be right, so.
So I think you should withdraw your motion to admit them at this point, 'cause you're not moving to admit those. You're gonna move to admit a redacted version.
Yeah.
Why don't we just tell the jury we're going to play them for them later? There's a stipulation, and we'll redact them. That way, they won't have any impression.
That's
even better.
Yeah, about who's denying it, who's not.
I'll show that you're inaudible, and we'll play them at a later time.
Okay.
Well, what can you make clear to the jury, and should we, I guess is the question, that they're redacted?
Well, I think at some point, there's gonna have to be some explanation, because it's gonna show some jumps on the screen in times and stuff.
What we're gonna do, we had talked about this morning, which is why I didn't move to admit. It's not ready, but we're gonna avoid the jump with a black spot. So it's gonna jump, but it's not gonna cut right to it's gonna be butted up. There's gonna be like a 3 or 4 second black spot, and then cut to the next part.
Oh, okay. I'll just tell them that the parties have agreed that there are some materials that aren't necessarily
Pertinent to
pertinent that talk about something else. I can say that.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with all that.
And I think if they know that we're taking our time to review it, and you say that we all agree to that, and we're all good with that.
So you want me to say that, you would say the stipulation, right?
Well, that you've all agreed that we're gonna produce it today, that the parties have agreed that the videos will be played me next week, after removing well, I won't say that, just they're gonna be seeing them sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We're working on.
You will say that or you want me to say it?
I will say it.
Okay.
I will say it.
My plan is to get them done, give them to you to review, and then we'll play them.
Okay. Very good.
Fair.
Sidebar conference concluded.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show the videos to you sometime next week, at an appropriate time.
And because of that, Judge, I am going to, it's gonna take me a second, I apologize, 'cause I can run through a lot of these questions.
Sure. That's fine.
And I apologize for that.
I don't want to rush you. Do you want to take a break to be able to get to the place that you would like to get to?
Judge, that would be fine with the state. I'm gonna have some additional conversation. Some other concerns came up that I think we need to talk about before we get too far into the...
Okay. Well, then why don't we do that? That way, you're not pushed to shuffle through something that you're kind of under pressure. So we're gonna take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. While you're outside of the courtroom, please keep your minds open. Please don't form any.
All rise.
Jury out at 10:02 a.m.
You may be seated. Okay. Can Lieutenant Holeman step down from the stand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't you go ahead and step down? I'll give you like 15. I know I keep saying 15 minutes, and it always becomes 20 because 16 to 15 people, yeah. So why don't we take 15 minutes and that'll give you, Mr. Baldwin, a better opportunity to sort through your notes, then.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Jody, you can go off the record.
Off record at 10:03 a.m. On record at 10:21 a.m.
Judge, I did read out a lot questions, but there are some questions that I think they're appropriate, but I do not want to run afoul of the court, so I can kind of say what they are very quickly and want to see if the state would have issues with them.
Oh, okay.
Based upon the motion in limine.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Dowdoyden here, Judge. Do we want to do a sidebar? I don't care, Judge.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, we could do sidebar.
Okay.
Okay. Just bring all your stuff.
Sidebar conference conducted.
They're primarily about, see, I put warning.
Warning.
So, there's no data on Rick's phones at the time of the cults or the occult.
Do what? Say it again.
There's no data on Rick's phone, or it could be his computers or anything that tied him to cults or the occult.
I would object to that.
Yeah, he's not accused of that.
Okay. And then, this might be short. Holeman, Lieutenant Holeman had said that he believed that somebody was assisting Richard by setting up the meeting.
I don't honestly have a problem with it.
Oh, okay.
As long as it's outside, as long as I can clean it up.
Sure.
On redirect.
On redirect, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So that came in. I'll have to do this at an offer of proof later.
That's fine.
No connection of Rick Allen to any other person of interest. You're worried about Keegan Klein. You're worried.
I think that it's getting dangerously close to.
Okay. This one, trying to be, lawyering here a little bit. Any social media on his electronics that connected him to Tree Branch, sticks arranged in specific configurations.
That's fine. I mean, that came up in somebody's direct. Was it crime scene probably? Yeah, I think I don't know, 'cause you were trying to ask questions about the sticks, inaudible.
So your question is, anything on social media dealing with?
That connected to
Say it again, I'm sorry.
any social media on Richard's electronics that connected him to tree branches or sticks arranged in specific configurations.
My issue with that is that it's kind of implying that the arrangements has to indicate something. That runs afoul of the motion in limine. That's my thoughts.
Folks in the gallery, please, keep it down. There.
It doesn't give me a chance to clean it up unless I get into,
Yeah.
you know, the cults and stuff.
If that's fine. You know what? I don't want to, this is.
We can because we'll have to revisit some of the issues, based on the motion that you filed.
Correct.
Okay. And
So I think, based on whatever she rules, if you call, you're gonna call him again on your case in chief, right?
probably, yeah.
Then you can ask him those questions.
Okay.
But I'd like to say I'm not the ruler here, but I'd like to focus on his interview with Richard Allen.
Okay. You know, the only thing that he did say at the end that, I arrested him because I felt there were facts that had established probable cause. That's why I'm going through this stuff. And I do talk about, at the top of it, a little bit more about his interview here, but if you don't think that, at the end of that, when he said that, when Lieutenant Holeman said that doesn't allow me to get into other aspects of the investigation, up to, only to his arrest, then I won't get into those, but I felt like.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Other than the things we've already discussed.
Yeah.
That we don't need to discuss again.
I mean, I'm sure there's other things in here, but I will preview them. Obviously, I'm nervous. I don't want to run afoul of you at all, so if there's anything that I think is even close, then I won't do it.
Like just kind of set it to the side.
Okay.
'Cause you're gonna have an opportunity at some point to either make an offer of proof or ask those questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Okay. With that conversation then, are ready to bring the jury back in and continue with your cross.
I am, Judge.
Okay. Gentlemen.
Judge, may we approach while we're waiting for the jury?
Yeah.
Sidebar conference conducted.
Judge, with a question about that he's gonna ask him about other people involved or something, that question, can I, at least, warn the witness not to talk about the stuff?
Yes.
In the motion in limine?
Yes.
It's not stuff that I did on direct.
I might just avoid it. I just won't ask that question, how's that?
Okay.
I just don't want him to be able to urt out something that
Okay.
opens a door.
We can figure it out later.
Okay.
I won't ask question.
I appreciate that,
Why risk it is what I say.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Sidebar conference concluded.
All rise.
Jury in at 10:28 a.m.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you, gentlemen. You may continue, Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you. On direct examination, you had talked about one lie that you had told Richard Allen during the course of your interrogation, is that right?
Yes.
And that lie was, what was that lie?
I think there was 2 lies. I think I told him that there was witnesses that saw him on the trail and that experts saw him or said that that was him and his voice. There was multiple others.
Okay. So, and whenever you told him those lies, he said, I didn't, he still said, I didn't do this?
That is correct.
Let me see if there was other. You even told him, I'm not lying to you about anything, didn't you?
I did.
But you were lying to him.
I was.
And you even said, it would be unethical for me to lie to you.
No, I don't think I said unethical.
If I had a transcript of that interrogation and I handed that to you, would that refresh your recollection?
No, if you said I said unethical, I'll agree to it.
I'm not lying to you, Rick. That's unethical. It would be unethical for me.
Doesn't sound like something I would normally say, but yeah.
So you trust that?
I trust that.
Okay. You told him that the prosecutor and the other investigators want to lock you up and throw away the key, you told him that?
I did.
And he still said, I didn't do this?
Correct.
You realize the death penalty is on the table? You told him that?
I did.
And he still said, I didn't do this?
He actually said, I don't care, kill me. I want to die anyway, something to that effect.
I guess we'll see it next week.
Okay. Yeah, it's on the video.
And then, at one point in time when, you said you talked about a moment when it got ratcheted up and there was cussing between one another.
Yes.
And one of those was, you're going to drag your effing wife, but you didn't say effing, did you?
No.
Okay. You're going to drag your effing wife and your daughter through this because you're too effing bullheaded to get out in front of this and admit you made a mistake. You said that to him.
I did.
So at that point in time, you put into Richard Allen Shedd the notion that his wife and daughter were going to suffer because he was accused of this crime.
I don't know what he thought.
Object to speculation, Judge. I don't know that he can testify as to what was in Richard Allen Shedd at that point.
Sustained.
It was it must have been important for you then in order to get a confession out of Richard Allen, to put his wife and daughter into play, hey, they're going to suffer unless you confess.
Judge, may I ask a few foundational questions?
Yes.
Where I think the question was phrased, then it must be, it was important to you to get a confession out of Richard Allen. Is the tactic you use something you learned through your training and experience?
Yes.
And why were you using those tactics with Richard Allen?
To elicit responses and get a confession.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Judge. I withdraw my objection.
So part of the way that you were trying to elicit a confession, as you just said, was to leverage his wife and daughter and say, they're going to suffer unless you confess. That's basically what you were saying.
No, that was not my intention.
You're going to drag your effing wife and your daughter through this because you're too effing bullheaded to get out in front of it and admit you made a mistake. That's what you said.
That's what I said.
Okay. And the rest of the jury, I won't go through it, the jury can see that next week.
Okay.
You were here a couple days ago when there was a jury question that asked Mr. Mullen, were you in an interview in which Richard Allen said he did not know which day, he drove that day? Were you here when that question was asked?
Yes.
And Mullen's question was yes, or answer was yes?
I don't remember.
Okay. That is not true though, is it? You've watched that interview. Richard Allen never said he didn't know which way he drove. He said he drove from town.
I think he said there was multiple ways he could have went, but I don't know if he.
We'll just let the jury watch that.
Yeah.
Before you conducted Rick's second interview, on October 26, remember, the first one's October 13th, and by the 26th, you had learned from.
At some point I did, yes.
Had you learned between October 13th and the 26th that Ms. Oberg had compared the unspent shell found on the ground to a fired shell out of Rick's gun?
No, I did not.
Okay. Were you aware of whether Ms. Oberg had utilized the consecutive matching striation objective tool to determine if Oberg was even correct?
No. I just went off the certificate of analysis. I don't know how they test it.
And in those 2 weeks, from the 13th till the 26th, you did not send that unspent casing to an independent examiner not affiliated with the state police or the state of Indiana to determine whether Melly SSA Oberg was correct or possibly wrong in her analysis.
No, we did not.
You test, was it you or Mullins, sick, that, and I don't know why, I always say Mullins, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Is he a detective? Do you know what he's, Steve Mullins?
Investigator for the prosecutor.
Investigator Mullins.
Yeah.
Investigator Mullins. Who was it that said yesterday that Rick said, it's over?
I did.
You were the, did you testify?
I did.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And you said that you did not tape record it.
I did not.
But he was in your squad car.
Yes.
Now, the funny thing is though, on October 13th, after Richard Allen left the interview room, somebody from law enforcement drove him back to his house. Do you remember that?
I believe so, yes.
And that was tape recorded, the in-car drive from the station to his house, that was tape recorded, wasn't it?
It was.
But you didn't tape record this statement that you claim that he made?
He says he made it in the interview.
I guess we'll let the jury see.
Okay.
And what he was basically saying to you, according to your direct examination, is, hey, it's over. Everybody believes that I did this. The neighbors see it, you know, that's what he was talking about.
He said, it doesn't matter. It's over. I don't know what he meant, but in his interview, he explains it.
And I understand what you said a second ago, that you claim, but
No, I did not.
And that was in your car, again, correct?
Part of it.
Okay.
Part of it was walking around.
Also, when Richard Allen left on October 26th, when he left in handcuffs, that was tape recorded in the vehicle, as well, right?
I believe so. I believe they put a tape recorder in my pocket.
And you find Betsy Blair to be credible?
I do.
And you were aware, at the time that you said on direct examination that there was probable cause to arrest Richard Allen, you were aware that Betsy Blair had described a vehicle that did not look like Richard Allen's car at the CPS lot, when it was supposed to be Richard's car, right?
Judge, a little bit of foundational questions here. Do you know whether or not Betsy Blair was describing Richard Allen's car?
No.
So, Judge, I'm gonna object to speculation about him being able to testify as to whose car Betsy Blair was describing.
I can ask a different way.
Sustained.
To get there.
Okay.
So Richard Allen's car, for your theory to be correct, Richard Allen's car was at the CPS lot at 1:30?
No, that's not correct. For my theory to be correct? I don't know what you mean.
Well, okay. Well, I'll rache it back a step. Your theory is Richard Allen's vehicle was at the CPS lot at 1:30.
That's not my theory, no. I don't know where he parked. I know he drove by the Hoosier Harvestor. Where he parked, I don't know.
You believe that he drove.
We have witnesses.
That's your belief.
We have witnesses saying they saw a vehicle matching the description, some of them.
You have witnesses, do you? Who are these witnesses? Go ahead, tell me.
I don't know them off the top of my head, but I know.
You were one of the lead investigators in this.
I know there was some people that described vehicles in that area. Whether or not it was Richard Allen's car, I don't know, that's not my.
Go ahead and tell me who these people are.
Betsy Blair described a vehicle.
Yeah, and a 1965 Mercury.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know that that's what she described?
I do. I don't know why.
Judge, we're getting kind of far afield here. Betsy Blair has not testified to that at this point, and so I'm gonna object to this line of questioning at this point, Judge.
Okay. Sustained.
You found Sarah Carbaugh to be credible.
I do.
Were you in the courtroom when she testified?
Yes.
You thought she was credible.
Yeah.
She is the only person, Betsy Blair is, the only one, that saw a guy purportedly muddy and bloody for the first 2 interviews, bloody on the 3rd interview.
Judge, I'm gonna object. That's not what Betsy Blair testified to.
Not Betsy Blair.
Sustained.
I'm sorry. I do that a lot where I screw up the names. Sarah Carbaugh. Sarah Carbaugh is the only person that saw this guy walking, what she says, westbound on 300 North that, in 2 interviews, was muddy, and then, in the 3rd interview, was bloody. Is that correct?
Yes.
So there was no other reports, hey, I saw, and that's not an unbusy.
Judge, may I ask a few foundational questions?
You may.
Are you aware of the traffic patterns in Carroll County?
I am not.
Are you aware of the traffic patterns on County Road 300 North in Carroll County?
I do not.
Have you done any studies as to the traffic pattern on county roads within Carroll County?
No.
Have you seen any reports or done any studies on the traffic patterns on County Road 300?
No.
Judge, I'm gonna object to the form of the question. Calls for speculation.
I'll withdraw.
Sustained.
Thank you. The Hoosier Harvestor video, you did see the traffic patterns on that along 300 North, did you not?
I did not watch the video.
You are the lead, one of the lead detectives on this, right?
I assigned somebody else to watch the video and then they would show me.
How many vehicles were traveling along the path of 300 North between noon and 4 o'clock on the 13th of February, 2017?
I don't know.
The bridge, how tall is that bridge?
I don't know, tall.
Somebody should measure that bridge, because the claim is that would you agree with me, somebody should measure the height of that bridge?
Judge, I'm gonna object to the form of the question.
Sustained.
Oh, because I said, would you agree? Would you agree that it would be prudent in an investigation like this, where the girls were on the bridge, to measure the height of the bridge from the top of the bridge down to the flood plain?
I think we know. I just don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
Yes.
Does.
The investigative team knows.
Sure. So we're gonna hear from, do you think we'll hear from somebody later on?
You might.
Okay. I mean, it's not 10 or 20 feet, it's...
No, it tall. It's 100, probably 100 feet, if I was guessing.
And when you go down, and have you been at that end of the bridge where the girls were abducted?
Yes.
And so when you go down that hill, if that's what happened, then you go down to the access road, right?
Yes.
And then that's not the end of it. If you want to get down to the creek, then you've got to go down even more.
Judge, I'm gonna object to this line of questioning. This is well outside the scope of direct.
Sustained.
Law enforcement believes that once Richard Allen left the scene around 3:30 or 4 p.m., he never returned to the scene.
Yes.
If you would, just because I think yes could be misinterpreted later on in the record, is that correct? Law enforcement believes that Richard Allen left the scene and he never returned to the scene, is that correct?
That is correct.
Law enforcement's belief is that Richard Allen's involvement in the murders was completed by 3:57 p.m. That's when Sarah Carbaugh claims that she saw someone.
Yes, correct.
And therefore, is law enforcement's theory also that Richard Allen did not take Libby's phone with him and then later bring it back?
That is correct.
And Libby's phone helped establish the timeline that you used to find probable cause to arrest Richard Allen, correct?
That is correct.
Richard Allen did not sell his Ford Focus, did he, between 2017 and 2022?
Not to my knowledge, no.
He did not sell the gun that you say held the bullet?
Nope.
He did not throw the gun away?
Not to my no.
He did not take clothing or hide clothing that you think he may have worn?
I don't know.
Okay. That's fair. And Libby's phone would give a good timeline of the events from that day, on the 13th and the 14th, would that be accurate?
Yes.
And you and other investigators used the info you collected from Libby's cell phone to establish a nice timeline that you think would implicate Richard Allen, is that correct?
Approximate timeline.
And the phone data is accurate?
I don't know. I believe so, yes.
And I just want to be clear on this, Anna Spath, Rayleigh Voorhees, that was 2 of 4 people that were on the trails together at the same time?
Yes.
And Richard Allen said that he saw 3 people on the trail when he was on the trail?
Yes.
Your thought at one time was Libby's phone had shut down at some point on the 13th?
That's what we were told.
But that ended up being inaccurate, correct?
Yes.
And you believe that one person and one person only was involved in this murder?
I believe that now, yes.
Okay. At some point in time, you thought it was multiple people?
No. At some point, I thought maybe there might be more than one, but the longer it went on, because of my training and experience, usually when one person commits a crime, they don't tell anybody, and usually if there's multiple people, one will get in trouble and tell on the others, so if there was multiple people, I think those people probably would have got in trouble. And that's coming from my when I was in DES, Drug Investigative Enforcement Drug Enforcement section, that would happen commonly. So that's one of the reasons that I thought it was just one person.
So you're equating the dealing of drugs or selling of drugs and how people might talk about that to the brutal murder of 2 girls, that you think that they would still talk about that?
Absolutely, if there was more than one.
Have you seen I'm sorry to interrupt.
If there was more than one, yes, someone would get in trouble and...
There was more than one.
If there was.
Oh, okay. That's your way. Well, you've seen the crime scene, you were there, seen photographs, right?
I have, yes.
And you believe that one person, in an hour or so, abducted those girls, brought them across the river, somehow clothes are changed on one body and the other's clothes in the creek, put sticks in an arrangement on those girls.
Judge, I'm gonna object to the question at this point. It's beyond the scope of direct.
Overruled.
One person did all.
Without a doubt, I believe that.
Would you agree with me that it would be easier for 2 people to do that?
I don't think I would agree with you, no.
Oh, okay. Now, Libby you believe, based upon the evidence that you knew back then, was killed at a tree some distance, not a crazy amount of distance, but some distance from where her body, ultimately, was found, correct?
That's what the evidence supports, yes.
And there's no drag marks from that tree to where the body was ultimately found?
There are some drag marks, but not. I don't think you're describing the correctly, but yes, there are some drag marks, but not from the tree to where the body was found.
And the theory is that a knife was used on her at this tree.
Yes.
And then, later on, the body was found in a different location.
Yes.
And you think that the photos will show drag marks?
They're hard to see, but I think you can see that she was drugged a little bit. Not far, I don't know, I don't want to say how many feet, but she was drugged next to that tree.
Well, I mean, we should be able to hear some people get up and testify about, this is a drag mark, here's how long it is, right? Do we have people like that are going to be testifying?
I don't know.
2 people could lift a body though and take it some year and there wouldn't be any drag marks, would you agree?
Judge, it calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Tony Liggett believed multiple people involved at some point in time.
Judge, again, it calls for speculation. I'm gonna object.
Sustained.
You had the opportunity to analyze the height of the person that was on the bridge, correct?
No. We tried.
The cost was $10,000 or so.
I believe so.
You didn't want to spend the money.
The money wasn't the issue, it was the accuracy that they said they would be able to provide that.
They said they could get it within plus or minus 2 inches, right?
I think so. I don't recall exactly, but...
So if they said, we do an analysis and the person is 6 feet tall, and then it would be 5 feet 10 inches to 6 feet 2 inches, right?
Your math sounds correct to me, yes.
So if it was a 7-foot person, strike that. If it's a tall person then, or a short person, outside of the range of normality, then that actually could work, even with a 2-inch variance, would you agree?
I don't know.
And Richard Allen's a short guy, right?
I don't know how tall he is. Shorter than you and I.
There was, by the time you had talked to Richard Allen on October the 26th, you knew that there was a strand of hair found in Abby's right hand, right?
Yes.
And there was DNA that had come from the root of that hair.
Some of the hairs, yes, that one.
From that one?
Affirmative response.
And it probably was gonna be a family member, that's what you were told.
We were told that it was female and familial, which to me means a family.
And all they needed was Kelsey German or Becky Patty's DNA swab to compare it to see if that was, in fact, a family member's.
They had their DNA.
They had it?
Affirmative response.
But you guys didn't ask for it to be tested until last week.
Yeah. We chose not to because of the time and resources, we wanted it to be used in other areas. At that time, we had no family female suspects, so we chose not to test it at that time.
But you were also told that it may not be a family member, but they think it is, but it may not be.
I don't know if they ever said that it may not be, I just think they told us that they believed it was.
Rick's DNA was not found at the crime scene.
No, it was not.
Neither of the girls' DNA was found at Rick's home.
No.
Or in his car.
No.
Bloody sticks were left behind at the crime scene and collected a number of days later. You heard that testimony?
I did.
That's a mistake.
No, it's not a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake.
So it's acceptable to leave bloody sticks behind, rather than gather them as evidence?
I think they tested them and observed them, as you've heard testimony, and then they decided to leave them there. And then, when DNR saw them, they thought, and then that's why we went and got them.
You were in this courtroom when Chris Cecil testified, weren't you?
Yes.
And he made several mistakes that he noted, including transposing 2 digits on the screen. you remember that?
He did make mistakes.
You know if Dan Doolan transposed any digits when he typed in from his notes and put it in the computer?
I do not know that.
There's been mistakes made in this case, hasn't there?
There's been mistakes made, yes.
May I approach briefly?
Sidebar conference conducted.
I didn't know if this, I didn't, I'm sorry to do this. I just didn't know if that was objectionable. You can read it. Or a violation of the...
I don't know how that definitely not this one, 'cause you're opening the door. You can ask, inaudible, this is part of the motion in limine, your motion in limine.
Right.
That would be opening I think you open them.
I mean, is that his belief?
Are you?
Yes.
That there's no pattern.
Right.
On the evidence found there.
Right.
So these are fine. I would stay away from C, as this kind of implies.
I apologize for having to do that. I just wanted to clarify.
No, it's fine.
Sidebar conference concluded.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I want to talk about the sticks on the girls.
Okay.
You believe that the killer was just trying to cover the girls to conceal the bodies so nobody would see them?
Camouflage, yes.
Camouflage. You don't believe there's a pattern on Abby at all?
No.
It's random.
Yes.
And the killer, therefore, you must believe, took the time to lay one stick on Abby, another stick on Abby, and a third stick on Abby.
Correct.
And you don't believe that the bodies were posed or positioned?
No, I don't.
There's no fingerprints at the scene of anybody?
No.
Libby's hands had blood on them, but Abby's hands had no blood on them, is that correct?
Correct.
We're not too far from being done here. You, from where the crime, and this has been testified to a number of times, you sat in the courtroom, but from where the crime scene is located, you can definitely hear people on the bridge.
If you're...
I'm gonna object to that, Judge. It calls for speculation.
Sustained.
One of your theories is that Richard Allen heard people on the bridge in the search party and then killed the girls and then left.
Could you repeat that?
Sure. Do you think, that Richard Allen, the killer, will call them, that whoever killed those girls heard people on the bridge from the search party?
I'm not sure about the order, but I believe that he, at some point, could have heard somebody and left after. After he killed them, before he killed them, I don't know when he heard.
But you thought it was the search party before, right? You remember being
family members or search party, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think that the killer was still in the process of doing whatever they were doing at the time that the search started?
No, I don't think I'd actually recall. I don't know for sure. I don't know.
Your deposition help if to refresh.
No. I just don't sitting here today. I don't know if that's just a theory. I don't know.
Okay. Because that search party didn't get there till 4:30 or so, right?
It was family members got there earlier than that. That's what I was referring to as the search party, as well, 'cause they were part of the search.
Right. But even they didn't get there until 4:30.
Some of them got there earlier than that.
Well, you're saying that the killer was gone by 3:57, right?
Yes.
The search party had not started at that time.
Family members were arriving pretty close to that.
You are the lead investigator on this, correct? That is not.
Yes.
That's not an accurate statement.
The father was yelling for them, and he got
3:57.
before that. Derek German got there before that.
You had no concerns that Betsy Blair provided an inaccurate description of the person she observed from 50 feet away?
No.
Nor Sarah Carbaugh?
No.
The video, you don't see who says, down the hill?
No.
Okay. And that, the view from Libby's camera on her phone doesn't show, as you're getting off the bridge and now you're gonna go down the hill, and there's this right side and there's this left side, and I think you think that they went down on this right side, correct?
That was a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yes, I do think they went down to the right side.
The right side, yeah. You don't know if somebody was on that left side, saying, girls, down the hill, do you?
I don't know if anybody was over there, no.
You don't know who said, down the hill?
I believe it was the person in the video, yes.
Was there ever any discussion in the law enforcement who were handling?
Yes.
You can't rule out that there weren't two people down at that.
We didn't find anything indicating that there was more than one person down there.
Did you talk to Teresa Liebert?
I didn't, but I know her and her husband were spoken to.
Do you know whether they saw anybody there that day?
I don't think where you're describing, but I may be wrong.
There was tension between the FBI and Unified Command, correct?
No.
Judge, I'm gonna object to relevance.
Sustained.
Did you say no?
I've sustained the objection.
Okay. As part of your investigation and how you came up with the probable cause, you were aware that the last time Abby's phone connected with the tower was 5:44 p.m. on February 13th?
Abby didn't have a phone.
I'm sorry, there I go again. I apologize. You were aware, as part of your investigation and before you made probable cause to arrest Richard Allen, that the last time that Libby's phone connected with the tower was 5:44 p.m. on February 13th?
Judge, perhaps a foundational question?
Yes.
Are you aware of the information from this day? Are you aware of the information? Or do you have information on when her phone last connected to the tower?
No.
Judge, I don't think he's not in a position to answer that question. I'll object to the question.
But he testified under oath in a deposition that he did know the answer to that question.
Well, then you need to confront him with that deposition. Overruled.
Sir, do you remember taking a deposition with me August the 10th, 2023?
Yes.
What's your recollection in answering that question?
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff here. Page 24, do you? Is it okay, Nick, if I just give him half of this? I'm not trying to hide anything, it's about his, inaudible.
Mr. Baldwin, I'm not the one that runs the courtroom. That's up to the judge.
Oh.
So I appreciate you asking me, but I'm not the goalkeeper here or the referee.
That is a fact. Judge, may I just give him half of?
That's fine.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
What page?
I apologize for that, Judge. Page 24, line 15 to 24.
Mr. Baldwin, can you say the lines again for me, please?
15 to 24, 15 through 24.
Thank you. And what was the date of that?
I believe it was the August 10th, 'cause I just looked at that.
Page 24, which lines, sir?
I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong one. So you remember taking a deposition May 3rd of this year?
Oh. Not this one?
You remember that?
I do.
You swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I did.
Thank you. It's page 24, line 15 through 24, on the May deposition. Tell me when you're done and let me know if that refreshes your recollection.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection?
It does.
And Libby's phone last connected to the tower on the 13th at 5:44 p.m., correct?
Looks like you asked about a ping or can you, I guess that's what you mean by connecting.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
You can't rule out, from the evidence that you have, that the girls and Libby's phone left the area on the 13th and then returned early morning hours on the 14th?
I think we can rule that out.
Okay. I mean, you have talked to Detective Chris Cecil, you testified about the points of data on that phone.
Yes.
All right. These are questions that I think have been answered, so I apologize. Kelsey German's phone was never analyzed to determine if it could be of some assistance in the timeline. Is that accurate?
I don't recall it ever being downloaded, but I believe we've looked at it.
Okay. But it was never extracted, like 101 other phones did?
I believe that is correct.
Okay. You should have extracted Kelsey German's phone, just to see if it could have been of some assistance before you found probable cause for Richard Allen.
Are you telling me that or are you asking?
I'm asking you.
No.
Okay. So you don't think it was an error not to dump that phone?
I don't think that was an error, no.
Okay. Nothing to strike that. Your conversations with Chris Cecil about the forensic data on that phone, nothing contradicts your theory, that you know of, that Libby's phone was under Abby's body from around 3:30 p.m. on the 13th until the bodies were found at noon or so on the 14th. There's nothing that contradicts that you know of. That phone stayed there that entire time.
That's what I believe the information says, yes.
These are bad questions, I'll just weed these out and be done. You didn't learn that, until very recently, in the last few months, that the phone reconnected to the tower at 4:33 a.m. on the 14th, did you? That was new information to you.
I think I knew, I just forgot about it, yeah.
Okay.
I think you refreshed my memory.
Okay. That's all. No other questions. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. McClelland.
Judge, yes, please. Thank you. I'll try to make it brief.
Take your time.
Lieutenant Holeman, I think Mr. Baldwin mischaracterized some of the evidence, and I want to clear some of this up for the jury. Mr. Baldwin had said,
The video was 2:13 I believe through the phone.
And Sarah Carbaugh's testimony was she saw someone on the road just before 4 o'clock?
Yes.
So that's more like 2 hours, instead of 1 hour, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the phone on the video, or I've got that backwards, the video on the phone of Libby shows the abduction of the girls, correct?
Yes.
You also observed the video from Libby's phone, correct?
I have.
And your belief is the voice on the video is the voice of Bridge Guy?
I do.
And when I say Bridge Guy, do you know who I'm referring to?
Yes.
And was there anything that you found within the investigation that indicated another male individual/individuals at the end of the bridge on that day?
No.
You also talked about Betsy Blair and Sarah Carbaugh, correct?
I did.
You understand they both identified a person they saw, right?
Yes.
And do you know whether or not they identified the person they saw as Bridge Guy?
Yes, they did.
And so in their testimony or in their description, do they confirm that who they saw was Bridge Guy?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yes.
Richard Allen. Mr. Baldwin characterized the people that Richard Allen saw on the trail as people. In fact, he didn't characterize them as that, did he?
No.
He characterized them as girls.
Yes, he did.
Correct?
Yes.
The sticks on the body, you believe they were there as camouflage or to hide the bodies. Is that correct?
That's my belief.
You also had information they may have been there for an undoing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mr. Baldwin asked you about connecting to the tower at 5:44 p.m. I don't know if the jury heard it, and I want to make sure I heard it correct. From your deposition, the 5:40 p.m. time, what does that indicate?
At that time, we were told that was the last time that had any interaction, that maybe it was turned off or powered down at that time.
But you used a different word in your deposition when you were questioned. Did you talk about pings?
Pings.
Okay. Was there any indication from the investigation that after the video, the girls were put in a vehicle and taken to another location?
Absolutely not.
Was there any indication that after the phone stopped moving at 2:32, that it moved again?
Absolutely not.
Was there any indication in the phone data that it moved again?
No.
One final question, Lieutenant Holeman. I think at the beginning of Mr. Baldwin's cross, you talked about some of the lies that you told Richard Allen during your interview with him. Is that correct?
It is correct.
And Mr. Baldwin grouped it there. It was a lie that other people saw him on the trail. Was that, in fact, a lie?
No, that was not a lie.
So that portion of it you were not lying about?
Correct.
You had information when you interviewed that other people on the trail had seen him?
I did.
I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Baldwin.
Thank you. You're the one that told me that you lied about seeing people on the trail. I didn't ask you that question.
I was confused. What I said was that there were eyewitnesses that saw him and identified him, but he said he saw 3 girls, and there was actually 4, and they did all see him, as well.
It couldn't be that he was there an hour or 2 earlier and ran into 3 different girls, could it?
I don't think so.
All right. No other questions.
All right. Does anybody on the jury have any questions for Lieutenant Holeman? Yes? Okay.
Sidebar conference conducted.
Sorry.
You're fine, you're fine. This way, they can't read our lips. Is there a way to get to where the girls were when encountered by bridge guy without crossing the bridge?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where Derek German was when he was shouting for the girls?
That's fine.
If he knows.
Do you want me to couch it if you know? Okay.
Sidebar conference concluded.
Lieutenant, is there a way to get to where the girls were when encountered by bridge guy without crossing the bridge?
Not an improved way. There's an unimproved way. They would have had to go through some fields and to come in the back way, but possibility.
Mr. McClelland.
You've been able to observe the video.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
On the video, where is Abby?
On the bridge.
And where is Bridge Guy?
Behind Abby on the bridge.
Was there, and you saw where he's positioned on the bridge in the video?
Yes.
To get in that spot, would he have had to have gone on the bridge from one of the ends?
Yes.
There's no other way to get to the middle of bridge besides starting either at one end or the other.
That is correct.
And in the beginning of the video, both Abby and Bridge Guy are on the bridge?
That is correct.
And where is the perspective of the video? Where is Libby?
At the end, one of the ends.
And you know she's at the end because, well, how do you know she's at the end?
You can see gravel on the ground and not railroad ties.
And so for Bridge Guy to get where he was at on the video, common sense tells you that he had to have started where?
Common sense would say he started at the beginning of where the trail ends, at the beginning of the railway.
Otherwise, he would have had to have walked past Libby, past Abby, turned around and come back. Is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Baldwin.
I don't sorry. Yeah, I don't have any other questions, Judge.
We intend to put into evidence, and I think we've seen it here on other occasions, the photo at 2:07 of Abby walking down the bridge, correct?
I have.
And that's from, they were going that way, right? Down to the south end of the bridge where they were abducted?
Yeah. Yes.
The photo was taken that way, as Abby shed to the south end of the bridge, correct?
If my directions are correct, yes, I believe so.
And I wish I had it with me, but when you look at that photograph taken at 2:07, there is nobody behind her, is there?
No.
Okay. So why is it so preposterous? Well, strike that. Do you find it to be preposterous that somebody did as Mr. McClellan said might have been the case, walked past those girls and then turned around?
Possibility.
And the guy on the video, he's not huffing and puffing, is he?
I can't tell.
Yeah. That's all. Thank you.
If you know, do you know where Derek German was when he was shouting for the girls?
I don't know exactly where, but from where he described, he would have been down when you first come into the exit, down in that area toward, by the, or creek. At some point, I think he went towards the bridge and more people started yelling, but I don't know exactly where he was.
Mr. McClelland.
I don't have any questions, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Baldwin.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant. You may step down.
Yes, Judge.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, before you arrived, both parties had a discussion about the next witness, who's going to be very lengthy, and rather than keep you here until about 2 o'clock, we're gonna go ahead and break a little bit early. Again, clears throat, excuse me, while you're outside the courtroom, please keep your minds open. Please don't form any opinions or conclusions about anything. As you will have access to your phones for purposes of contacting your family and your work emails, always under the supervision of the bailiffs, please, don't talk about the case. Please have a safe and peaceful weekend, and we'll see you Monday morning. Gentlemen.
All rise.
Jury out at 11:19 a.m.
You may be seated. Okay. Is there anything that clears throat, excuse me, is there anything that we need to talk about before we call it a day ourselves? Mr. McClelland.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Rossi.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. And again, folks, if you'd just sit tight for a few minutes while we get the jury out, I would appreciate it. And yes, you can take Mr. Allen. Okay.
Off record at 11:21 a.m.